So I was just scrolling on Reddit when I read this. Do you prefer Dick to be with the Bat family or the Titans? In the Bat family, he's just another component, barely similar to the rest. In the Titans, he's basically top dog. The Titans need him much more than the Bat family. This is not the first time that I'm seeing the idea that Dick should just cut ties altogether with the Bat family. And while I understand this in principle, you know, when looking at certain traumatic, awful runs and certain interactions between the family, I argue from a story and relationship standpoint, this would be devastating for everyone involved. Not everybody gets this, so I'm making this video to explain why the Bats need him and could never replace him like this comment or this idea itself implies. Specifically, the 3 ways Batman's eldest son helps his family to function and the one thing that they do to make it easier. And just before I get into it, hi, I'm Inolzia. I use psychology and humor to discuss fiction. If you enjoy this video, you enjoy this channel, please interact with it so that the YouTube algorithm doesn't toss me aside like a used tampon. Thank you. What are you loyal to? Well, me, I'm loyal to allocating the same amount of emotional empathy towards fictional characters as I do real people. Regular people might be loyal to their job, and you might be loyal to getting Chinese food every Friday night. All I know is that Dick Grayson, everybody's favorite superhero, is loyal to his family. Oxford Dictionary defines loyalty to be giving or showing firm and constant support or allegiance to a person or institution. I could not find a better collection of words to describe Dick's relationship with the Bat family and Batman Incorporated, or whatever that is. I honestly would say that Dick is down so bad for his family that he could be likened to Hachiko, this famous Japanese dog who waited over 9 years after his owner's death for them to return, only for the dog to perish in wait. Tragic story. Dick's loyal to a fault, willing to die for his family to the point that he literally said it to Bruce multiple times. You could argue it's the soldier in him and that he's actually willing to lay down his life for anybody else that he would be willing to protect, so civilians, his friends, etc, etc. However, I argue that for his family, the examples are countless and the meaning of them, the intensity of them are just that much deeper than anything else you will ever see with any other characters that he interacts with. And that's because they need him. They need his loyalty. Don't believe me at my word though. Let me give you some examples where his loyalty to the family has been necessary for them to be able to function. I'm going to use the mixed bag, mostly things that people have already seen or already know about. So for one, spoiler if you don't know enough about the Bat family to know about Oracle, who is Barbara Gordon, who lost her legs, needed Dick to be loyal to her so that she could grow into her own future different superhero who does not walk, does not fight. So Barbara had awful time, you know, she was shot in the back by the Joker, was paralyzed, and one of the crucial relationships she had, could not ever be replaced by anything else, was Dick. And especially in certain runs where she and him, they stay together even after what happened with her legs. He doesn't leave her. It's a certain romantic relationship, it's a certain peer relationship, and it's a certain long-term relationship with someone she trusts, someone she's had a bond with for a long time, someone she likes and has often romantic feelings for, staying loyal to her, supporting her, helping her self-esteem, being welcoming to her. I'm sure there's a bazillion examples and a bazillion panels that I could put all over here where it shows that he was loyal to her through this period and how that really helped her to heal and not feel inadequate and not feel like she's not important to the cause, she's not helpful, or she's not even attractive anymore. But all those things that Dick uniquely could give her just simply by being loyal to her is irreversible. Her dad couldn't give that to her, her friends couldn't give that to her, Bruce couldn't give that to her the same way, especially the romantic side if we're talking about that. And you want to be real with the parental figures or mentors or whatever Bruce is to her or whatever her dad is to her, but you can't necessarily feel the space to do that fully when you're trying to watch your words. But with Dick, for instance, they've been written countless times as peers, and so like I said, that is where their relationship shines. So that's one example that I just really want to champion. Another example that I thought was quite interesting is an instance of loyalty and disloyalty in a way, but we're going to focus more on the loyalty. It's the Robin debate, you know, another plot point that a lot of people know about if they know a bit more about Batman lore. It is about Bruce being lost in time. This is something I haven't read. I've just heard a lot about and read a lot about in fanfic, and I'm going to read the Red Robin run. I'm going to, because everybody recommends it because they say it's so good because of this time period as well, and I'm like, listen, maybe I will. And the Red Robin run only exists because of what happened with Damian, Alfred, and Dick and Tim after Bruce's disappearance. It was a big thing. People don't actually mention that Alfred was there and that Alfred pushed Dick into making this decision, and I found out that he did, and I was like, oh my god, people just make it like it's Dick's fault completely, which is why I don't necessarily want to talk about the disloyalty to Tim, because of course choosing Damian to be Robin, to give him that, because the argument is that Tim already knows that he has a place in the family, but Damian is a newbie. He's only been there for what, 6 months. He needs that space to grow. He needs a role so that he doesn't lose himself when his dad is just gone now. Like, what, they thought he was permanently gone. They needed something. Tim already had that, so he decided to pass on the mantle to Damian. And because of how tricky that situation was with Tim, I think what's more important here is really talking about what that loyalty did for Damian, and later on I'm going to be talking about how Tim interacts with Dick and why Dick needs Tim and why Tim needs Dick. So for now, talking about Damian, really this loyalty that only Dick really could have done, because Dick was willing to be a more direct guardian in that way and to train him and be a mentor in that way, and that is very unique to Dick. He's a legend, you know, he's the one who made the Robin mantle. He's by all rights the only one who should be passing it down in the first place. He's also very, very close with Bruce, or he was in the time. It's like was or is, I don't know, because he's not dead, but they think he's dead. So he was, for Damian's point of view, very, very close with his father. So of course, who else but somebody who's having to take up a mantle he doesn't necessarily want to be Batman. He's literally Batman in this scenario. Who else but someone acting as literally Batman could Damian follow? Who else could he need? At the end of the day, Dick's loyalty to Damian and Dick's disloyalty, I suppose, to Tim by proxy was instrumental in helping Damian to come out of the training that he had been in and to grow and to have someone he trusts, you know, because a lot of the time in this League of Assassins he didn't have people he trusted really. So it just shows more and more how much Dick's loyalty is necessary for them to function. So the last point, the last example is Dick's loyalty to Bruce, which is tremendous. Anybody knows that he has a bunch of loyalty to Bruce, but I wanted to narrow down one example that may not be as well known, but it's something I read, so I know about, and I really do like the series or this arc, so I hope people really do read it. It's Batman or Bruce Wayne Murderer, Bruce Wayne Fugitive. It's like a two-part thing, and it's a great series where Bruce Wayne is framed for murder, and in this series he kind of discards or considers discarding his identity as Bruce Wayne as a whole and just becoming Batman, and Bruce just thinks that that's fine with the family. He tells them, or he doesn't really care what happens or what they think, and Dick is loyal to a fault. Dick screams and kicks and all this stuff, and he is saying, if Bruce Wayne doesn't exist, who raised me? Who's my mentor? Who's my dad? And of course all this loyalty to Bruce helps Bruce come back out of his shell and become himself again, to become a person again. It's just one of the 1,000 examples I could have used. I just wanted to use something a bit different that shows how loyal Dick is to Bruce and how much that brings him off of the edge all the time, from the edge of despair. Or, you know, in the Batman animated series there was one episode, I'll put the name here or something, where Bruce was trembling with the pressure of being Batman. Another example where Dick brought him back and spoke to him, and really only he could have provided that level of loyalty in the way he did. It was necessary. There is other people Bruce loves, but Bruce has been with Dick for absolute ages, and he has a special place in Bruce's heart. And I think that there's certain things that only Dick could say, especially about being my father, being so bold about it, being so sure about it, confronting about it. Only Dick could be that loyal and passionate and stubborn when he tries to help Bruce come off of the edge. So that's my last example. The Bat family needs Dick to function. He's their rock, regardless of what they do to each other or what they do to him. And with the lives they lead, who knows what would happen if he wasn't. Oh wait, I do. Like I just mentioned with Red Robin, kind of hurt his psyche quite a lot, or even more instrumentally with Injustice, where he... So we know what happens when his loyalty isn't there and when he's not there to help keep them up with stubbornness. But the question is, if this is his role in the family, if his loyalty really is necessary for them to function, you know, that's not a healthy relationship. How does somebody with relationships that aren't like this, somebody who's independent and bold and arguably the healthiest member of the Bat family, which isn't a high bar, but he is apparently supposed to be the healthiest, most mentally stable member, how does he stay loyal when he's experiencing this level of shit that happens on and off, you know, trouble and difficulties and adversaries that constantly get thrown his way? Why does he not give up on the Bat family in general? Why doesn't he just have a family and stay with the Titans, for instance? It's because he truly believes that there's going to be a moment that the Bat family eventually just let down all their guards and really just show him how much that they are loyal to him and how much they care about him and all of this stuff. No, because he loves them just as much as he is loyal to them. It's hard to define love. I mean, we can try, but it's hard. Dick shows his love in many ways. Everyone has their own love language, but his is mostly, you know, I would argue physical touch, while he also does do the others, you know, words of affirmation, receiving and giving gifts, quality time, and acts of service. That was the last one, acts of service, yeah. And the fact that he's able to do the other ones and still feel fulfilled is why he gets through to the others that don't necessarily love physical touch and have that as their love language, and is why his love and his adaptable love helps them to function as well. So for people like Bruce and Alfred and Babs and Dammy and Tim, he's shown countless times in canon that he really does love them, and he's shown that through his physical affection. But there are many instances where he's been hugging them, when he's been joking with them, where he's been giving them words that they need, words of affirmation, and reassuring them that they're fine, and, you know, spending time with them, buying things for them, or giving them things in different ways that he feels they might want or might need. And he has just also been spending time with them at different times. You don't need to, I mean, a lot of the examples that are coming to mind are Batman related, like the time where they were just sitting next to each other. There was that letter that Dick wrote to Bruce, and it ended with Dick just sitting next to Bruce and them both working on something in the cave. That's quality time. You see, obviously, physical touch, I don't even talk about that. Or words of affirmation. They were talking about Selena, and then Dick saying, if you have trouble, then obviously you can talk to me. And then many times where he's spoken to Tim as well, and Damien, about if you have trouble, you can talk to me, stuff like that, that you're a good person. He said that to all of them. And then with Alfred, he might bring something over. With Babs, he might bring something over, or do a lot of things for these characters that other people wouldn't, you know, acts of service. And he does this because he knows that different people value different things. Word of affirmation for Bruce might actually be more valuable to him than physical touch. Same way acts of service is more valuable to him. And then it depends on each character, and he does that for each character to appeal to them and allow them the space to do it back, because him showing that he loves them in their way and the way they understand is what they need, so they can feel that love and communicate it back. There are other characters who he's gearing up to love, so it's slightly less intense, but it's still really there, you know, Cass, Stephanie, Duke, Jason, of course. They've had comfortable situations, nice little chats, nice little things. It's the same exact thing, you know. We're seeing where Dick knows how to love people. He knows, he's experienced in this area, and so he is helping everybody by adapting to what they need, and that in itself helps them to function and helps him to feel loved, and it helps the whole relationship to start to feel a bit more reciprocal. Because, you know, with the loyalty, I noticed I didn't really necessarily, I mean, I didn't need to, but I didn't really speak too much about their loyalty to him, because of course they're loyal to him, but it's a lot more of the time you're seeing that Dick is displaying that loyalty. Whereas with this love thing, it's starting to create an environment where they are able to reciprocate. They feel like they can reciprocate his love and affections by showing and by seeing him do it. This helps the family because he warms the environment around them. He smoothens the tension as best he can and takes the brunt of the violence and anger and sadness that brews often in the area that they all live in or the area that they work in. He allows them to thrive and handle their relationships with each other better, which ultimately reinforces that the Bat family need him to function. So this means that really the reason the Bats need him is because they need someone who never leaves them and need someone who unconditionally loves them so that they can learn to love as well. Was incomplete. It's incomplete because really what I've described is Hachiko. I've described a dog. I've described someone who's loyal to the Bat family, who loves unconditionally, who helps people come out their shell. I've not described the magical genius, the talented acrobat and an inspiration that is Dick Grayson. Because he's not a dog, he's a role model. Lockwood et al. Ran 3 studies in 2002 on being motivated by positive and negative role models at work. They found that people were motivated best by role models who had a similarly either positive or negative mindset and positive or negative strategies. Positive meaning that they tried to pursue desirable outcomes, whereas negative meant they tried to avoid failure. It's even harder to define a good role model. However, this research implies that the best role models are role models that have similar goals that align with your own. Starting off with Damien, Dick models family behavior. He's a role model of what a family member should be like. He taught him the value of life and fighting the good fight, which dramatically changed Damien's character pre-Bruce being stuck in time to post-Bruce being stuck in time. He breathed life into Damien by being himself and by showing him what he should strive to become. And that is actually so unique to Dick as well, because Damien wants to be Batman. Like, Damien wants to be somebody who is feared by enemies and revered as an amazing warrior and XYZ. And so Dick actually showed Damien an idealized version of Batman and showed him an idealized version of being family, because Batman ultimately is a family man, is part of the family, is leading the family. So simultaneously, Damien, by watching and by seeing Dick, was able to learn how to be somebody worthy of being the family's crutch, or somebody worthy of being a big major part of the Bat family. Tim is another one, a crucial one. Dick was a role model to Tim, but not in the same way, not as a family member. That's not what Tim wanted to be. That's not what his goal was to be. I actually think that Tim saw Dick as a role model, but a role model of somebody who wanted to save Batman while staying sane. He did this by helping Tim to be a fighter in the first place, by mentoring him, by being that person for him right by his side, by approving of him directly, and by keeping it in mind that he should stay sane, that he can really try to help Bruce if he wants to, if that's what he's here for, but he has to stay sane, and that he should always try to be level-headed in a sense. He can't save Bruce completely, and this ultimately helps Tim to be a more functional teenager at the time, and is why partially Dick's disloyalty really had such an effect on Tim's mental at the time, or at least from what I've heard. Then we have Jason Todd. This time Dick's role was very different. Dick's role in Jason's life is to just show that he could be more than a disadvantaged kid. Of course, their upbringings are not the same. They're not. Dick was in a circus and they didn't have a lot of money, but they were above the poverty line, whereas Jason was defining the poverty line, let's be real. But unfortunately, a lot of the time, both fans and writers and Bruce himself saw Dick and Jason to be very similar or the same, or a replacement of the other. So that did impact why Jason really idolized Dick. He inspired Jay. He made him think Robin makes me magic, because by being Robin, by being that his idol, he is more than a disadvantaged kid. He is following the footsteps of somebody who became more than a disadvantaged kid. And now it's all the golden boy and the jealousy, because he feels like Dick succeeded in that goal, in becoming more than a disadvantaged kid, while Jason failed it. But ultimately you see that he's still sometimes his rock in his mind, and he admires Dick still. He still values what Dick brings. And ultimately, if anything is going to come from this dynamic duo movie, hopefully it will be that Dick is Jason's role model. And finally, Bruce. I'm not sure how many people are going to agree with this. I don't particularly care, because this is, for me, obvious. Dick is a role model to Bruce as well. Out of all of them, maybe this is the most surprising, but Dick really is. He is the role model of being the hopeful vigilante. From the jump, Bruce set out to do this for fear, for justice, but he has acknowledged multiple times, everyone has, that it's kind of gotten out of control. Batman should have been something else. Batman should have been Robin, is what the idea is. Batman should have been Nightwing. Batman should have been Dick Grayson, but Batman wasn't, because Bruce Wayne isn't him. However, he does revere him, and he does acknowledge and wish often that he was, or that he could have been more like Dick in many ways. And that is fundamentally why he sees him as a role model. It's a long-standing thing, and it's maybe even awkward for you to see your own son as a role model, but they've always had an odd relationship. And I think that especially in work, this kind of thing is partially to do with Bruce's influence anyways. You know, of course Dick was a certain way, but even a positive child like Dick, if he had been in juvie, if he had stuck with that life, he might not have still come out happy and with this mannerisms that he has. He would have been hurt regardless, probably to a very similar degree, because he wanted to save people. And so at least with this, it might even be Bruce's influence and his want to avoid repeating things that made Dick into such a positive figure for people. And so Bruce crafted, in a sense, his own role model of what he should have been, the better version of Batman. He crafted a Batman version too, but because Dick was so independent, it's nothing like him. It's different from Superman, who he probably reveres from afar. Like, everybody wants to be Superman. It's much more close. It can be like, I want to be like Superman, but seeing your own kid be like that, seeing you made your kid like that, or you helped your kid become like that, you're like, why am I not? You know, he's a much more realistic role model for me, because why I need to change? If he can do it, I should be able to do it. So it's a really much more intense role model, I would say, than something like being around Superman or Wonder Woman or seeing random characters. So yeah, Dick shows Dammy how to be a part of the family. Dick shows Tim how to protect your icons without losing yourself. Dick shows Jay to believe in himself and others. Dick shows Bruce to not lose himself in the tragedy that they all usually face. And this behavior that he's modeling is crucial for them to function. In conclusion, Dick is loyal to a fault. He loves the Bat family in ways only they can understand, and is the role model they often need not to collapse under their jobs. But this is where it gets more wholesome, because the family does something to make this easier. They retain his lessons, they reciprocate his love, and they respect and often give back his loyalty. Not always, and not to the same degree often, depending on the comics or events, but enough for it to be noticeable. For the most part, the things that Dick has done for his family has dramatically changed the way that their character has been after these different events or different actions that have happened. He's been their everything in ways that only a family member with that much resilience and that much love and that much inspirational actions can do. He's priceless, he's wonderful, he brightens up the room, he is so much more complex than people give him credit for, and so much more genius than people give him credit for, and the Bat family love him for that, and so do the fans. Hence why a person at the airport held a writer's luggage hostage when it was rumored that they were killing Dick Grayson. If you want to do one thing, then subscribe. Otherwise, tell me what you thought in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you think that Dick is necessary for the Bat family? Oh, I'm rhyming. And then I say a quirky goodbye. Janyong. I love me a Dick Grayson. I do love me a Dick Grayson. He's actually like, I think my second favorite character. Well, he's tied with Jason for me. Bruce is at the top. I just love him. I love him. He's just like, he's everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, he is such a stable, such a necessary part of the family that for me, it's like, okay, the Titans might need him or might want him, but his family needs him. Okay, like his family needs him, and he needs them because they complete him. They are what make him move forward and do what he does most of the time. And they reciprocate things. They put their effort in to try in their own ways to give back to him. It's not just a one-way relationship. And obviously nobody's perfect in this universe, and people could do more. But still, if they're not gonna get therapy, this is the best we've got. Okay, this is the best we have right now. And I think that for him, it's enough. I do think it's enough. I know people are like, oh, you should escape. You should escape. Man, you should escape from the comment section right now before I come for you. You better go away. You better go away. Okay, like you better escape. Yeah, no, don't ever. Please just don't cut him from the Bat family. I don't mind him being in another city. Oh, take him away from Gotham if you need to. If you need to, babes, bring him back in. I don't mind. Whatever you do, give him some space. I'm sure, listen, he needs that space. He doesn't need to go around. Okay, please. But like, he better stay in the family. He should do both. Ultimately, that's what everybody says. But I just wanted to pick on people who didn't. Sorry.